host, Pastor Michael M. Matthews, and I'd like to thank you for joining me tonight, coming in and welcome each and every one of you. I hope y'all all had a beautiful, 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 beautiful day. We all had a beautiful day. And this beautiful morning, even though it was raining out there. I know that can be frustrating at times. Hey, I know. Just got off a football meeting. That's why we moved the time back to 8:30 because of the meeting. So tonight, with us, just so you know, we're going to be in the book of Ruth. Once again, we're celebrating Women's Month, and I thought it would be fitting for the first time being online, doing everything in Women's Month, doing the first Monday Bible study in 2026. Women's Month for the first time, and for the month of March, doing in Women's Month. I like to say hello to everybody out there. It was a blessing to see everybody on a Sunday morning for the Sunday morning sermon. It was good seeing y'all all there. It was good seeing everybody there. I was very happy. And once again, I want to tell you, share the live, invite a friend. We're gonna have a good time. There's gonna be one day where I'm gonna have an open forum. I want to invite some people up. We're just gonna have just an open discussion about some of the things I have talked about on here. Some of the things I have talked about. So, like I said, share the live. Enjoy your time that you're here. Enjoy your time that you're listening to this. Also, I want to acknowledge my overseer, Apostle Ella J. Alexander. Also, I hope each of y'all had an opportunity to get to see Pastor Apostle Hunt's revival service that he had. The 3 days Bible service he had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Unfortunately, I missed Sunday revival service. It was unfortunate for me. I missed that. Little busy. Came home and kind of fell asleep. When I realized that I'm happened to be looking at something on my phone, and I saw that he was online, and then I realized, oh no, I missed it. My apologies for that. So what we're going to do tonight, I said we're going to be in the book of Ruth. Let me try to find my, I'm always moving things around here. Let me find my Bible, so I'm kind of ready here, trying to get my Bible so I can move forward with y'all. We're going to have three different parts in the Bible service. Three different parts in Ruth. We're doing three different chapters. Hey, hello, Mrs. Taylor. How you doing? How you doing, Miss Taylor? How you doing? We're having three different parts in Ruth. We're going to be doing chapter 1. We're doing chapter 1. We kind of skipped over chapter 2. We're going into chapter 3, and then we're going to go into chapter 4. So we're going to go to those three different chapters. But the part scripture I want you to focus on is in chapter 1. The scripture part is between 16 and 17. The verse between verse 16 and 17. And in chapter 3, I want you to quote on. Oh, okay, great. You're doing wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Hey, Miss Daisy, how you doing? I also want you to focus on in chapter 3, verse 9 to 13. And then I also want you to focus on in chapter 4, verse 13 through 17. So what we're going to do, right now, I'm going to pray us in, and then we're going to get started with the book of Ruth. Heavenly Father, as we come here tonight, We give thanks for you allowing us to come once more again to come and meet each other on this live. And we, we pray that each time that we come here, we resonate, we walk away with something that we have learned. I pray that for each and every person, they walk away with something they have learned and something that they grow with the learning of your word. Heavenly Father, we pray for those who are sick, for those who are going through any kind of issues, or those who have lost a loved one. And we pray for our country as well, and all the people that are out now fighting. We pray for each and every one of them. Heavenly Father, please touch each person that's on this line. Give them the strength as we go forth in our Bible study. And I say this in your son's name, in Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Ruth, as we know right now, Ruth is about the time of we just kind of, it's like a time of the judges. We're at the time of the judges also. As we when you see when you read the Bible, you notice you come you're just she's just right after if I'm not mistaken, Ruth is right after the book of Judges. So we're looking at this. Give me a second. Let me get there. If I'm not mistaken, yes, Ruth is right after the book of Judges. Yes. So we're in one. So Ruth, she's a Moabite. Ruth is a Moabite. She is a Moabite. She's a Moabite, and she is married to, she lives with her mother-in-law, who is Naomi, and Naomi is part of the Judah. She's part of the tribe of Judah. So she is part of the tribe, a part of the tribe of Judah. So Ruth builds a bond. We're going to see this bond that these ladies build in chapter 1. We're going to see this nice little bond they have. It's a powerful bond of loyalty and love. It's really between two women. There's Ruth and Naomi, who's the bond has become between two. And this is described in the book of Ruth. And it's also described in chapter 1. And as I said, we're going to focus a little on verse 16 and 17 as we go there. Ruth, she also makes it's a heartfelt decision of loyalty to Naomi. Okay, she makes this heartfelt decision. And as we see, we're in the time of the judges, and in the first part of it opens, and Naomi is a widow. What happens here is, this is the days of these. It comes about the days where the judges governed, that there was a famine that came into the land, and there in the men of this is the men of Bethlehem and Judah. They went aside in the land of Moabite with his wife. This man went inside of Moabite with his wife and his two sons. The man's name is Emelech. Emelech is his name, and this is Naomi's husband. And the name of his wife is Naomi, as I just said. Naomi is his wife, and he has Hem, Hemlon, Heklam, Mahenlon, and Chandlon. And they're at the Euphrates of Bethlehem in Judea. So they enter into the land of Moabite, and these two men their two sons wind up getting married. And one marries Ruth, and one marries, who did she marry? And another son married another young lady, Ortha. And so Arthur was the other woman another son married. So Naomi's husband had passed. Her husband passed. Sooner and later, the two sons passed. So as we see, they had passed. So we're going to drop down to verse. Let me see. Let's see. Um, we're going to go with verse 17. We're going to deal. No, I'm sorry. Let me go back up to verse 7. With me. I'm sorry. We're going to start at verse 8. We're going to start at verse 8. So the two sons have passed, and Naomi and her two stepdaughters, or two daughter-in-law, I said stepdaughters, two daughter-in-laws are there. Then she arose with her two daughter-in-laws and returned from the land of Moab. So they come back from Moab. They come from the land of Moab. They came back from the land of Moab where they were staying because she had heard in the land of Moab that the Lord had visited his people by giving them food. Now that was the food of manna that they had sent down. The Lord had sent down food from heaven. So she departed from the place where she was, and her two daughter-in-laws with her. They went with her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. So they're coming back to Judah. Now remember, Ruth is a part of the lineage of Jesus Christ. She's in that line of that part. If you see, she's a Moabite, but the she's in the part, and you're going to see how she's in that part of that line of this. Where I'm at, Judah. But Naomi says to her two daughter-in-laws, "Go, return each of you to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the death and with me. May the Lord grant you may the Lord grant that you may find a place of rest, each one in the house of her husband." So she's letting them know that in her time of death with her husband, she's telling her daughters, "You go back to your mother's house. You don't have to stay here with me. You dealt real fine with me. Go ahead and be with your husband. You go and you there." Then she kissed them, and they raised their voices and wept. However, they said to her, "No, but we will return with you to your people." So she was going to go back with Naomi back to her home, to her people, with Naomi, with her people back in Judah. Um, but Naomi said, "Return, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Do I still do I still have sons in my womb that they may be your husband? Return, my daughters, go, for I am too old to have a husband." She is during that time, women, when they got a certain age, if they already lost their husband, they didn't feel that because they felt that at that time, even like now, I'm too old to have a son. I'm too old to bring forth a son. And that's how she felt. Her sons were already grown. She's probably well up in age. Remember with Abraham and Sarah? Abraham was like in his 80s, 90s, and he's like, I'm going to have a son. And we see Sarah's like, I'm going to bring forth a little boy, and I'm just as old as he is. So that's what he is saying there. Hey, hi, good evening, Prophetess Connie. How you doing? So that's what she's saying to them. She's letting them know, go. She's kind of freeing them from any type of chain link to them. Like, you don't have to stay. You don't have to be locked to me. I'm fine. You dealt with me kindly. You allowed me to to grieve and cry on your shoulders. I'm good. And she basically is telling him that she's good. If I say I have hope, if I were even to have a husband tonight and also give birth to sons, would you therefore wait until they are grown? Would you, would you therefore refrain from marrying? And she says, no, my daughters, for it is so much bitter for me than for you, because the the hand of the Lord has come out against me. So she feels that what has happened as the death of her husband, the death of her her sons have now something have happened that now God is dealing with her in a way that she doesn't understand, and it's come against her now. That's why she says the Lord's hand has come against me. Also, Naomi and Arthur, um, they're they're feeling, well, we're going to stay with you, we're going to still deal with you. But now here we see in this verse what we're going to see, where I talked about 16 and 17, what Ruth's going to say to her. And here in verse 14, and they raised their voice and wept again. And Arthur kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her, then said, behold, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and her God. Return after your sister-in-law. But Ruth said, do not plead with me to leave you or to turn back from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you sleep, I will sleep. Your people shall be my people, and your God shall be my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do so to me. And the worst, I'm sorry, and the worst, if anything but death separates me from you. So what Ruth is saying, she's sort of like, kind of, good evening, Apostle Ella. What Ruth is basically telling Naomi, in this moment, in this time, Naomi, you can see she lost her husband, she lost two of her sons, one of her daughter-in-law. She has told him, go ahead, you have dealt with me in my moment of grief, in my moment of time, but y'all go ahead because you feel that they're still young. Go leave me, because I don't have no children more to pop out of this stomach of mine. I have no more room to pop out of this stomach of mine. I have no more room to pop out of this. I'm sorry, pop out of this stomach of mine. So what happens is, the other daughter-in-law, she leaves, or she leaves. She goes, hey Jeffrey, how you doing? Thank you. She leaves. She go ahead and leave, because she's saying, even if I have two sons come out of here, are you going to stick around? Are you going to wait until they're fully grown to marry them? No. Go. So go. Let the Lord has set his hands against me. But Naomi hugs her, gives her a nice, strong, good evening, Apostle Y'all. Gives her a nice, it's no problem, sir. It gives her a nice, good hug and says, no, where you go, I'm going to go. Where you sleep, I'm going to sleep. Where you dine at, I'm going to dine at. Where your God is my God. So she is literally like saying to her, I am a part of you now. I am not separating from you. Where you die, I'm going to die. If the worst the worst thing can come. If that's the separation that we have, that's what's going to happen. But I'm going to be buried alongside of you as well, is what she's basically saying. Is he basically saying here? Uh, Ruth she's making a heartfelt declaration. Some people may call it an oath, or she's making a heartfelt declaration of loyalty, a heartfelt declaration of loyalty to Naomi. As I said, where she says, "Where you go, I go," and where you're going to stay, I'm going to stay. My people will be your people. Your God is going to be my God. This pledge of loyalty and love between Ruth and Naomi is a beautiful example of the provision and redemption they pro they provide for each other. And in this, I want to ask you, who do you have or who do you know around you that will have that same type of attitude, that where you go, I'm going to go. Where you be, I'm going to be. Where you live, I'm going to live. And where you pass away at, I'm going to pass away in that same. Who makes those type of loyalties to you? Um, like I like I said, I've had two friends that whenever you saw one, you saw the other. We saw like that. We were like that. We were like, some people would say we were the three musketeers. It was only three of us, and we were always together, no matter what we were doing. I think the only time we wasn't together was when we were home sleeping or when we were at work. But when we were from away from work, we were out. We could be out partying together. We can be out just hanging out, and we'd also be hanging out with the family, and everybody's hanging out together. So we had a loyalty to each other. Where in your life today, where is your loyalty? Who in your circle do you have your loyalty? Where in that circle do you have that loyalty among family and friends? Where in that loyalty? Hey, Prophetess Tanisha, how you doing? So as we see this, she goes and she stays, and then we see later on, as we skipped over in chapter, but if you read in chapter 2, I'm always going to try to put everything up there for you so y'all can follow along with me in earlier in the weeks. In chapter 2, if you read, Naomi and Ruth, they're now at this thing. She goes back to her homeland. Naomi goes back to her homeland, and she finds what they call a kingsman. And the kingsman is this man has land. He has land, and he has people that he's pretty wealthy, and hence where he picks up food. They're picking corn and things like that, and barley and wheat. And uh, Ruth is one of the maidens that is doing this, and this man comes by, which his name is Boaz. So Boaz, we see now enters in Boaz. Boaz meets and he sees Ruth, and he wonders because Boaz is part of a part of Naomi's family. He's a kingsman. He's related to her husband in this ring. He's related, so he knows of what the dealings is. But in this, he is going to purchase. He is going to purchase the inheritance of Amalek's and the two sons' land. He's going to purchase that. He's going to take that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading from. It'll be from the New American Standard Bible. Once again, I keep forgetting. I'm gonna have to put a note in front of me, lock a note down here in front of me. I'm on the ticker tape. The word in parentheses is the Bible that I'm always going to be reading from, the New American Standard Bible. That's my fault. Sometimes I think most people already see that there and they already know it. That's already been on here, but my fault. You know. Yeah. Okay, so Boaz is doing this, and he takes to a liking to Ruth. He takes to the son. He sees Ruth, and he sees her as you see. As we're going to look at, I'm gonna look at get a little bit of this. We're gonna go part. I'm gonna give you part two, chapter 2 of it. And once again, I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband. That's who Boaz was, a man of great wealth, of the family of Amalek, uh, whose name was Boaz. I think you've seen that video where the man says, "Well, he goes through the motions of the Boaz and so forth and so on." Well, this man is very well. Boaz is known through that. And Ruth the Moabite says to Naomi, "Please let me go to the field and glean among the ear of grain, following one in those eyes. I may find favor." So what she's looking is she's saying, "Let me go in this work in this field that he had." Hey, good evening, Beverly. Let me go and work in this field. Good evening, Miss Hunter. Let me go in this field, and that ear is the ear of corn. So she's saying, "Let me go in here and get the corn, and maybe he'll find favor with me." And she says, and this is what Naomi says she says yes to her yes, and go, my daughter. She tells her to go ahead and go. So she left, and she went to glean in the field after the reapers. So she went there, and then all of a sudden there's a portion of the field belongs to Boaz, who was of the family of Amalek. He's part of this family. And we see in verse 4, he says, "Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and he said to the reapers, 'May the Lord be with you.' And they said to him, 'May the Lord bless you.'" If anybody ever know, when I heard that phrase, that kind of brought back what we used to say when I went to Catholic school. It says, when it would say, if I'm not mistaken, it would be, uh, how would it go again? "Peace be unto you," and he would go. The answer back would be peace. Peace. Wait, it's oh my God, it's go with. I think they say go with peace. And then your answer back to the priest would be "Peace be unto you." So it would be "Peace be unto you." Is I know the answer back is "Peace be unto you." I just can't get the original initial statement that goes first. So that's what kind of brings it back. So it's just like that. It's like when he answered, "May the Lord be with you," and they say, "May the Lord bless you." So it's a welcoming there that they say. Then Boaz says to his servants, who was in charge of the reapers, and whose whose young lady is this? If you're in the King James language, it actually says who is the damsel, and as we know, that's a young lady. So, and the servants in charge of the reaper replied, she is the young Moabite woman who returned with Naomi from the land of Moab. And she said, "Please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves." Uh, and so that's what they were doing. So Boaz now begins to take a liking to her. Boaz does begin to take a liking to her. So we're going to kind of skip over that because I want to get to this part. I thought it was kind of neat. Boaz kind of took favor with her because he was like letting her know, like telling his guys, like, let her do what she needs to do. He would tell her also, you make sure you have on your put a hat on so you can say and you can do XYZ, get water if you need it, and so forth. Hey, Miss Lawson, how you doing? Get water if you need it also. So what we're gonna kind of go a little more further, and I want to get to let me jump all the way down to 21. Here we are at verse all the way, still in verse, it's still in chapter 2, and we're in verse 21. Then Ruth the Moabite said, furthermore, he said to me, this is Boaz, Boaz is talking to her, you are to stay close to my servants until they have finished all all my harvest. And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, Ruth, it is good, my daughter, that you go out with his young with his young women, so that others do not assault you in other fields. So she's basically afraid that if she goes out separately without Boaz and without these other women that already kind of know her, she goes somewhere else where nobody knows her. These other women are probably go after her because Boaz is kind of taking favor of Ruth. So she stays close by the young women of Boaz in order to glean until the end of the barley harvest and the wheat harvest. And she lives with her mother. She still lives with Naomi. So you see, she stays very close. She stays very close to Naomi. Now we're going to get into chapter 3, and this is Boaz willing to redeem Ruth. In this redeeming, now remember, Ruth was married before. Now back then, it was. I'm gonna let you know. So most women don't get upset. Women, marriage during their time was not a man. Um, we suffer, and let me see what Pastor Young said. We suffer and yet remain faithful. Yahweh rewards us in ways we have never seen. Yeah, yes, that is so true. That is so true, Apostle Young. So that's what Apostle Young is saying, that he is rewarding Naomi for her loyalty because she is staying with Naomi. And she had already made that, as you understood earlier in chapter 1, she had made that declaration that I'm going where you're going. I'm sleeping where you're sleeping. Your people is my people. Your God is my God. And remember, Naomi is in Judah. She is a part of the tribe of Judah. Um, so so we're seeing that Boaz is going to redeem her. So this is you're gonna see a kind of a marriage here that's gonna happen. This is certain things is going to take place, and we're gonna see this kind of like in it's further in verse 4 and chapter 4, but in verse 9 and 13 we're gonna see some things happen here. Um, as we look, and I'm going to start off in chapter 3 to verse 1. Then her mother-in-law, Naomi, said to her, my daughter, shall I not see security for you, that it may go well for you? Once again, I'm reading from the New American Standard Bible. So if you have a different Bible, there are certain words that you should see that you'll probably the certain words you'll see that let you know that you're still in it should harmonize with what I'm reading. Okay. Um, it should go well with you. Now then, is Boaz not your relative, with whose young women you were? Behold, he is woving woving barley at the harvesting floor tonight. Wash yourself, therefore, and anoint yourself, meaning clean yourself, put nice fragrance on, so that a nice little fragrance on, and put on your best clothes and go down to the threshing floor. Go down to the threshing. He's gonna be down at a floor. But do not reveal yourself to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. And it shall be then he lie down, that you shall take notice of the place where he lies, and you shall go and uncover his feet and lie down. Then he will tell you what you should do. So, in other words, she is giving her a thing where she's going to go to Boaz. She's going to make herself presentable. She's not going to allow him to see her. So when he finishes eating and everything, and he lays down and he goes, she's going to uncover his feet. And she's going to lay down at his sort of like at his feet, and she's going to lay down there. And when he sees her, she's going to wait. He's going to let her know what she should do. What he should do. What I'm sorry. What did I say? That you shall say, and I will do. So she went. So what she did, she went to the threshing floor, and did according to that what her mother-in-law said, and come and had commanded her. And then in verse 7 we see, then Boaz had eaten and he drunk, and his heart was, some books may say merry, his books may your King James may say merry, it says was cheerful. He went and laid down at the end of the heap of grain. So he's laying down at those piles of grain. And she came secretly and uncovered his feet and laid down. And it happened in the middle of the night. So in the middle of the night, we're thinking probably late in the evening. Are you in Proverbs? No, I'm in Ruth. Miss Nichols. That the man he was startled, so he didn't see Ruth, the book of Ruth. Uh, he was when he laid down and she uncovered his feet. He must have felt cold. Looked down, and there's this woman at the bottom of my feet. He was startled and bent forward, and behold, a woman was lying at his feet. So he said, "Who are you?" Now apparently he must have didn't realize what Ruth looked like outside of what she normally looked during the day, when she's out in the field. So he doesn't recognize her. So she probably had her hair fixed a different way, had on different clothes. So he's kind of like, oh, okay, just you're different. You look different. And she answered, I am Ruth, your slave. Now, the slave here is not a slave as you think. Slave here is not the slave that you're thinking of, that we had in America. The slave there is a person who who allows himself to work for a certain amount of time. As remember when you read in Genesis with Jacob asked to work here by marrying one of his daughters, and his uncle said, "Okay, you work for me 7 years, and then you can marry my daughter." That's the type of this slave or employee or whatever you want to call it during their time was considered slave. But the time that we look at it is a cattle slave, where you kidnap persons and you take people. So this is a slave who has allowed to work for you for a certain amount of time. Normally, it would be about 7 years. After 7 years, you had to let a person go. That's why And when you read the book of Genesis, Jacob only worked for his uncle 7 years. After 7 years, he was released from his duties, and then he was able to marry the older daughter. And then when he wanted to marry Rebecca, he had to work another 7 years. And after that 7 years, which would be called, which we don't, the book we don't have in our books, probably in the Catholic book, or the Catholic book would probably be called the Book of Jubilees. That's where you would find out more about the 7 years of 7 years of employment, like 7 years of employment, or 7 years that they would have to let their slaves go. So he he answered that, you're a slave. Now, spread your garment over your slave. Now, spread your garment over your slave. Okay, for you are a redeemer. So he is going to redeem it. Redeemer meaning is to purchase. 10. Then he says, may you be blessed of the Lord, my daughter. You have shown your last kindness to be better than the first, but not going after young men, whether poor or rich. Verse 11. So now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you whatever you say. For all my people in the city know that you are a woman of excellence. Um, a woman of excellence, like we would probably say, a woman of extraordinary, a woman who is well, what's the word? It's like like she is a loyalty. She's very loyalty. Lord has loyalty. I'm trying to think of the word, and it escapes my mind right now. But now, although it is true that I am a redeemer, yet there is also a redeemer more closely related than I. So Boaz knows that there's somebody else that's closer, that also can redeem, and redeem meaning to purchase. So what's going to happen is we're going to read in the next part, is another part later on, that it's a marriage. It is a marriage. It's land being inherited, and yes, virtuous. Thank you, Apostle. Yes, virtuous. That's what I was trying to get, and it kept slipping kept moving out of there. Every time I got ready to say it, it just said, no, we're not saying that yet. Okay, thank you, virtuous. So so what we're looking at here, he's saying this, and he's letting her know that there's one goal. So remain this tonight, and when morning comes, if he will redeem you, go, let him redeem you. But if he does not wish to redeem you, then I will redeem you, as the Lord lives. Lay down until morning. And what happens is, she does lay down. She lays down there until morning. She's laying at his feet until morning, and he gets up before um, uh, and got up before one person could recognize another. So, meaning she got up real quick. She got up before anybody realized that who she was, or when she was leaving. Like, hey, look, I'm gonna get out of here before anybody recognized me, for anybody recognized me. And she said, do not let it be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. 15, again, he said, give me the shawl that is on you, and hold it. She said, so she held it, and he measured 6 inches of barley and laid it on the floor. Then she went into the city where she came to her mother-in-law and said, how did it go? My daughter, she said, her mother-in-law asked her, how did it go? And there are 6 measures of barley he gave to me. Or he said, do not do not go to your mother-in-law empty-handed. So she came there, made sure she come without. He made sure she went to her back to her mother-in-law without, not empty-handed. He made sure you brought some type of food or something with you. And then she said, "Wait, my daughter." This is Naomi saying. She says, "Wait, my daughter, until you know how the matter turned out, for the man will not rest until he has settled it today." So now we see that there is something that is going to happen. So Naomi is telling her, "Hey, okay, we got the barley, but just wait. Let's wait and see how everything plays out. We're going to play this out, And as we look at this, we see Ruth. Unwavering loyalty and love for her mother-in-law Naomi as she follows Naomi's instructions to approach Boaz for redemption. Um, and despite the risk of uncertainty, and you could understand, Ruth, she does what her mother-in-law says. She goes and Boaz lays down and she lay down at his feet and he jumps up and he could have told her, get out of here, woman, leave me. But he didn't do that. For some reason, God, we can sit here and say, well, God worked it out that this is what's going to happen. Some certain things is going to happen. His hand is playing in this. Um, Ruth trusted in Naomi's guidance and demonstrated her deep love and loyalty for her mother-in-law. So it's like you have a favorite, you have a uncle or a aunt that you go to, and when you go to them people that are your elders, and they give you this advice, and you follow it to the T. uh Majority of the time you find out things work out in your favor to a degree, and then they come back to them and they say, okay, hold on, let's wait and see what happens. And a lot of times that's what sometimes if you don't listen, you you lose out. But Ruth is like, I'm gonna listen to what you say, because right now everything is going smooth, and Ruth is just showing her true loyalty and her true love. This is an act of loyalty and love ultimately leads to their provisions and redemption as Boaz marries Ruth and cares for both her and Naomi. So we see Boaz has married her. He's marrying her. And what we're seeing here is he says, and as we come to uh 4 verse sorry, verse chapter 4 chapter 4. Once again, I'm reading from the National American Standard Bible. The marriage of Ruth. Now Boaz went up to the gate and sat down there. Now there's this gate that they sit down. I guess they auction off land and everything. The gate, and he sat down there, and the Redeemer of whom Boaz spoke was passing by. So he said, "Come over here." Come over here, friend. So Boaz is like, say, come over here, friend, sit down here. And he came over and he sat down. And then he took 10 men. He took, I'm sorry, verse 2. Then he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit down here. So they sat down, and he said to the Redeemer, this is Boaz speaking to the other Redeemer. Oh, okay, it's not open. Okay, it's not. You go. Scott, excuse me, Nick. Okay. All right. So he tells him to sit down, and now he says, Boaz is saying to him, Naomi, who has returned from the land of Moab, had to sell the plot of land which belonged to her brother, to our brother Emulak. So I thought that I would inform you, saying, buy it before those who are sitting here and before the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, redeem it. But if not, tell me so that I may know, for there is no one except you to redeem it, and I am after you. And he says, I will redeem it. Now he gets, so Boaz is kind of playing a sort of like he's putting it out there, and he's going to put a stipulation on it that when he going to redeem it, so that he feels that if he puts it to redeem it, this person is going to reject what his like, I guess, his added clause to this redeeming of it. Um, he says to redeem it, and I will redeem it. I may know, for there is okay. There's no one, and redeem it. Then Boaz said, on the day you buy the field from the hand of Naomi, you must also acquire Ruth, the Moabites, Moabites, the widow of the deceased, in order to raise up the name of the deceased on his inheritance. Now, during this time, if a brother, you had a brother, and you had a brother or several brothers, if your brother, if your brother was married and he died, you would have to would have to marry his wife to bring up so he would have an heir to whatever his estate or whatever he had left at that time. So that's what what's the name is that's what Boaz is telling him. He's saying, okay, if you buy this land, you're going to have to bring along Ruth with you. So you're going to have to redeem Ruth also, and give her a son that he would have an heir to. He would inherit. This son would carry on the name, and that's what he wanted him to do, to carry on this name. But here's what's going to happen in order to raise up a name, the deceased heir. And then the Redeemer said, here I guess um, Boaz had a slick. He was be a wealthy man. He was pretty slick and pretty knew how to do business really well and real good here. Because he says now the guy, the Redeemer, he says to him, I cannot redeem it for. Okay, yes, he says. Then the Redeemer says, I cannot redeem it for myself. Otherwise, I would jeopardize my own inheritance. Redeem it for yourself. You may have my right of redeem, since I cannot redeem it. So, in other words, he's telling Boaz, I can't do it. Here, you go ahead. You redeem it for yourself. Good evening, Apostle Hunt. Good evening. You go ahead and redeem it. Now, you redeem it uh, for yourself. You may have my rights of redemption, since I cannot redeem it. Now, this was the custom. This is the this is what they're talking about. This is how the custom was back then. This is the custom in the former time in Israel, considering the redemption and the exchange of land to confirm any matter. A man removes his sandal and gives it to the other. And this was the way of confirmation in Israel. So, in other words, if we were living back in Israel during that time, well, could you imagine during that time in Israel, the man is sitting around in there, they're making a decision to buy property or thing, and he says, "Well, so and so, Apostle Hunt, can you buy the land?" And Apostle Hunt says, "No, Pastor Matthew, I can't buy the land. I'm going to let you redeem it." And Apostle Hunt will take off a shoe and hand me his shoe. So, as we said, this was their custom. So the Redeemer said to Boaz, "Buy it for." Excuse me, just a minute. Let me get this. Come on, Paige. Work with me now. Work with me, Paige. Buy it for yourself. And he said, remove, and he removed his sandals. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, "You are witness today that I have bought from the hand of Naomi all that belongs to Amalek and all that belongs to Chilion and Malan. Therefore, I have required Ruth the Moabite." So he is in this whole deal that he is conveyed. He has bought Amalek's land, the two deceased sons, and he's also acquired Ruth, which Ruth now will become his wife. The Ruth, the Moabitess, the widow of Malan, to be my wife in order to raise up the name of the deceased on his inheritance, so that the name of the deceased will not be eliminated from his brothers or from the courts of his birthplace. You are witnesses today. So, in other words, Boaz made sure he had witnesses to see that they didn't do this in private. They did this so that everybody could see it. Yes, Apostle Hunt. So, yeah, Apostle Hunt. Hey, boy, yes. So this was the way they conduct business back then. So when you see the custom, so now we got a little bit of idea of the custom that they dealt with. So did I get to? No, I didn't get to 13 and 17 yet. So as we go a little further, so they're a witness of it today. So in verse 11. We're good. Okay, in verse 11, chapter 4. I just saw 11 and now I can't find it. Okay, and all the people who were in the court and the elders said, "We are witness. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, both of whom built the house of Israel." Now that's those two are Jacob's wives. Now we know those two are Jacob's wives. Those are the two that Jacob had to purchase from his uncle. I believe his uncle Lot. Those that he had to purchase. He had to purchase both of them. Leah was first, and then he had to work 7 more years, and then he was able to marry Rachel. And may you achieve wealth and ether, and become famous in Bethlehem. Verse 12. Moreover, may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah through the descendants who the Lord will give you by this young woman. So in verse 13, as we going through verse 13, this will be the verse. These are the two verses I think I wanted to always say, always when I put them down, always kind of concentrate on those verses and see what your understanding is after you read the full context of the full chapter. That would be your understanding. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife, and she had relations, and he had relations with her, and the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she had gave birth to a son. Then the woman said to Naomi, "Blessed is the Lord, who has not left you without a redeemer today, and may his name become famous in Israel. May he also be to you one who restores life and sustains your old age. For your daughter in law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him." So now we're going to look in here. We see in verse 16 through 17. Then Naomi took the child and laid him in her lap, and became his nurse. So she nursed this young man, this young kid, and nurse. And the neighbor women gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi." So they named him Obed. Obed. They named him Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David, and the father of David. Now these are the generations. Okay, so we see here that as we had looked in 14 and 17, we witnessed the culmination of Ruth and Naomi's story of loyalty and love through their faithfulness to each other and to God. So, being that they both were faithful to each other, and Naomi was faithful to Ruth, and Ruth was really faithful to Naomi because she never left Naomi. Remember, the other daughter-in-law had left; she had went on back, but Ruth was the one who was supposed to stay. Um, they are blessed with a son, Obed, uh, who became the grandfather of King David. So Obed is the grandfather of King David. So now you begin to see, as you if you ever track if you ever when you're now, I begin to see, as we read before, from the beginning of Genesis, when I was with Lady Red's, when we did Lady Red's Bible study, when we read from Genesis and we begin to read, you begin to see the line where God is promising the Messiah, and you begin to see the connections of how the connections are going. If you're paying attention, you're taking the notes as you see. So this Naomi and Emilah, this famine was God designed a famine to come, and that Ruth would stay with Naomi all the way, and Ruth would have this loyalty, this true loyalty, this virtuous woman. She is a virtuous woman. Ruth is this virtuous woman who shows so much loyalty that she follows her mother-in-law's instructions almost to the letter of the law, the letter of the law, I would say, or the letter of instructions, that she would follow it. And Boaz does his part. And when he tells her, "Look, don't tell nobody, but there's another person that can redeem the land. I'm gonna go and see how things handle. When things we handle it, then we will know how to. Then you will know how to move. And Naomi tells her the same, sort of like the same thing. Okay, let's just wait and see how he handles everything, and then we can move forward. And what he does is Boaz says, okay, you can go ahead and buy it. And when he tells him that, he lets him know, on one hand, when you buy this, you must take Ruth with him, with this redemption. When you buy this land, when you take this land from Naomi, you must take Ruth also, because of her two sons. They their inheritance is there. Their name continues to go on. The name continues to go on. And that's what you have there, and that's what they're pushing for. So it's today. This is the lineage of redemption, the provision and the testament of the power of loyalty and love between two women who support and uplift each other through life trials and tribulations. Now, in some cases, I do agree sometimes that um, women do have a greater loyalty to each other. In some cases, more. I may say more than men. Women have a little bit more loyalty to each other than some men do in certain some circumstances. And it shows with Ruth and and um and Naomi. And when we look at that, you want to look at it. So I'm going to ask, ladies, who in your circle do you have that is your Ruth, and who in your circle is your Naomi? So in your circle, who is your Ruth and who is your Naomi? And then I'm going to ask you, ladies, in that circle, when you show me your Ruth and you show me your Naomi, if you're Ruth, who is your who is your Boaz? If you're married, I'm sure Boaz would be your husband. But if you're single like Ruth, who would be the Boaz for you? The person that would come and in this instance, I would say marry you. Who would be the one to marry you? I mean, that question would be more for the single woman, but for you other women that have loyalty with each other, who is the one woman that you couldn't say that's my Naomi and that's my Ruth, or you can say that in that case. Um, I have like I had said, I have two good friends years ago that were my best of buddies. I could go to them, call them up. They were there. We had loyalty to each other. Today, loyalty to there is a sense of loyalty that I don't. I feel in some cases I have lost with some friends. I don't feel that I have a solid loyalty. I have friends, but do I have a friend that's willing well, hey Mike, where you at? I'm gonna come. Where you be? I'm gonna make sure I'm there. I'm gonna, hey, I'm gonna be at so and so and so and so. Okay, I'll be there. I'm coming. The loyalty is support. Who is in your circle that supports you also? As a woman, I know a lot of women do support each other very wholehearted, very, very, very well. Some men, we do support each other very well. Apostle, Apostle Hunt, Apostle Arthur. I try my very best to get up there and support them as much as I can. Sometimes things do come in the way, and we sometimes my schedule conflicts. Has like I said, Sunday my schedule it it didn't really conflict, but I was out doing something, and I had was out working out with a young man. Normally, when I'm working out, I don't really pay attention to my phone unless my phone actually rings. But I kind of turn my ring off because I want to concentrate on the person I'm working with. And then when I get in my car, I kind of like zone out because I'm kind of like decompressing what I've just done. And now I'm going home. I came home and I kind of knocked out. I kind of fell right to sleep on the bed. And when I woke up, I'm like, I now scrolling and nothing was registering there until all of a sudden I come out, oh my God. And I'm like, oh man. And then something says, look at your phone. And I look at my phone and I said, oh man. And it really hurt me because it told me then, that told me you have to, when you finish your practices, you have to check your phone after every practice. And that was something I normally would do. But for some reason, I didn't do it that day. And unfortunately, I missed out on a very good, a very good sermon, the last day for our revival meeting. But once again, I want us to get back to the Ruth. This is Women's Month, and we got this week is almost we're almost finished with this week, and we're looking at Ruth and Naomi right now. And remember, we just finished Judges. The Judges in that during that time, there was a lady judge there, if I'm not mistaken. It was Deborah, and I'm sorry I didn't put Deborah in here in the within this category. I think it was only a 4-week category. I should have added an extra week, but I think I would have went over into April. But I want to try to keep everything 4 weeks. But at least, but Deborah was a judge also. But we're looking at a loyalty that Ruth had. So women, who is your Deborah? I mean, who is your Ruth? Who's your Naomi? We look back at if we go back to the first part of woman in the Bible, Rahab. Who would consider your Rahab that would hide a spy and make say, look, hey, look, only thing I'm gonna ask you, make sure my family stays safe. Who would be that person that you can say they would hide? Now remember, these are people who believe also in God. They're not just people who don't believe in God. They believe in God. And as they back then they called the God of Israel. They believed in the God of Israel. And these three ladies that we just talked about last week, which was um, Rahab. This week we have Naomi and Ruth. So these three ladies, who were those three? Who in your circle, women, that you can say is your Naomi, your Ruth, and your Rahab? Who have that loyalty, that love, that that belief in God? They all believe in God. And gentlemen, it's only if you're single, answer this question. If you're married, I'm gonna take off my shoe and throw it at you through the screen. But if you're single, who in your circle you can say that's a Ruth, that's a Naomi, and that's a Rahab. And now Rahab, when I say Rahab, I'm not talking about that she was a prostitute. I'm talking about that she is the one who would do the thing that Rahab did. In other words, she took the sons of Israel, the spies that uh, Joshua sent out to survey the land. She hid them from the king, and then she hid them, and then she let them down by the scarf, the red scarf, and said, "Hey, look, all I want you to do is make sure my family is safe. Don't hurt nobody in my family." And she made that deal. That's the Rahab I'm talking about, not the other thing, not her profession. I'm talking about what she has done and her belief in God. Um, Naomi, their belief in God, and Ruth, their loyalty towards each other. Who are they? Who is your Naomi that is loyal to you? that loves you, that is willing to be there for you all the way up to the very end, who is your Naomi, that would be there to give you solid advice, give you the advice that would guidance and the instructions that would help you to move in the right direction. What, ladies, who is the one that do that for you? That's what I'm asking you. So as we go a little further in this, as we reflect on the story of Ruth and Naomi, we are challenged to consider what we would do if we were in their shoes. So once again, that's a good question. What would you do if you was in Naomi or Ruth's shoes? Fellas, what would you do if you were in Boaz's shoes? Um, would we have the courage to make sacrifices for our loved ones? Would we show unwavering loyalty and love in the face of adversity? So would you show this? Would you do these things? I mean, many times I've had to show unwavering loyalty to various friends in the moments of when I had to face adversity. My love for some people, things is going downhill, and they're like, "Yo, hey, Mike, you can go. Everybody else done left me." And I say, "Nah, man, we're gonna ride this shit together. We going down. We going down with the ship." Now, there are some times where I tell a person, I say, "Hey, look, it ain't worth going down with the ship. We gotta leave now." And they be like, "No, Mike, we got." And I'm like, "No, we gotta leave. It, it looks bad. It looks bad. We may be in a certain group together, and I'll be like, yo, it looks bad. We gotta go. We gotta go." And they be like, "No, no, Mike, I can't go. I can't go." I said, "Look, we gotta go." And I literally sometimes grab them and go, "Let's go." And that's what it is. But we have to show this love and this loyalty. The example of Ruth and Naomi reminds us of the importance of standing by those we care about. So there are people on here. There's a couple of people on here that I care about. I can't get to them when I need to get to them, except for when I'm on Facebook or when we come together. But I care about them. I care that they're doing fine. They're doing okay. Um, they always have an uplift. They always have a great moment. Each and every person that's on here, I care about. Like I said, I pray each and every night for y'all to make sure that everything y'all are always in good health and good standings. Um, that no matter what comes against you, you don't waver. You stand firm. I kind of look at it like a boxing match. I look at life sometimes as a boxing match and a sports metaphor. Life got you up against the ropes. You got your hands up, and it's just pounding away. And you're weaving and bobbing and weaving. And you're taking the blows, and all of a sudden, I got to step in and step back, push life back for you, so you can get that breather, hit the time button, sit you down, and give you the pep talk to get you back into the ring so you can dance around again. Sometimes just like in a baseball game, you're the pitcher, I'm the catcher. I got to walk out to you and tell you, "Hey, yo, what you doing? Settle down, follow me. Look at me, so and so. We got it." And this is how Ruth and Naomi was. Ruth told us, "Hey, look, I'm in this for the long haul. I was in this for a short moment. Your sons are gone, but no, we together. We stuck together like freaking frat. Where you go, I'm gonna go. Just like the song go, where you go, I go." I was just looking at that this morning. But that's what you want. We care about offering them our provisions, the redemptions through our actions of loyalty and love. Um, Sometimes our actions may not show it because life can throw a curve at that person as well as you, and it may look like you don't want to do, but it's not. Life thing. a funny thing. Life hit you the same time it hit him. And my grandmother used to say to me, if you can't take care of yourself, if you can't get things situated for yourself, how can you help somebody else? So before I can step out there to help you, I gotta make sure I'm good. Okay, I'm good. Now let me run over here and help Apostle Arthur, help help Miss help Miss Taylor, help Miss Smalls, best I can from wherever we are. If you're on Facebook, the best I can help you, get you, and whatever, however it is. But that's the loyalty, that's the friendship, that's the love. That's what we gotta have. We're loyal, and loyalty also is in your support. You majority, most of you come on here. Some of you come on here 3 days, three of the same, three of the two, both nights, Monday and Saturday, and then you come on Sunday morning. Sunday mornings, that's loyalty. If you come, and also there's some that just come only on Saturday. That's loyalty. There's some that come just on Monday. That's loyalty. That's loyalty to me in this setting, and I embrace it. I love it. I never forget it. It's one whole part. So just like at Naomi, you have been my, for you ladies, you have been my Ruth. For you guys, you're just my buddies. um, so what I'm going to say in a closing statement, I'm not going to keep y'all all long. I did set it for a longer time, but I'm not going to set it keep y'all long. Let us strive to emulate the loyalty. I'm going to say not emulate. I'm going to say let us try to. I'm trying to find a word. I want us to really move this loyalty and love displayed by Ruth and Naomi in our own lives. Meaning, I want it to be um, copied, made just like Ruth and Naomi. That we see, we are moving, we are there together. We are in the same position. We're not anything different. We're coming together in that. Um, I want us to do that. I want us to come together in that position. I want us I want to challenge us to. I want to challenge each and every person on here, even including myself, to show our loyalty to each other. I know we got a great distance, but the loyalty means us giving each other a good word, coming on together, giving each other a good word. I accept the challenge in the spirit. hmm Thank you, Apostle Young. Um, I I want us to challenge to put that show that loyalty and that love, just like Ruth and Naomi did. That's clear across the board, men and women. May we be willing to uh, go wherever God leads us, wherever He may lead us. I may have to not be on here no more, and may have to go, and He may lead me into having a physical spot, but I would want that physical spot where I will still be able to be on Facebook and be on this and still keep moving forward with everybody. You do not leave me because I went in another direction, but we still keep that connection. We still keep that loyalty, but God has just led me in another direction. To stay by the side of those in need, and to those in need and trust, I want us to also, if there is a need, if you just say, "Hey, Pastor Matthews, can you give me a prayer? Can you call me on the phone and send me a prayer? Or I'll call you on the phone and I'll send you. I'll call you if you want me to call you. You want me to send you a message, a voice message, just to uplift every day. Fine. If you want me to do it every other day, fine. I'll do it every other day. Um, we have that today within our group, Victorious Living Faith Ministries. all the ministries there, we all took a day and we sent out messages of uplifting encouragement. And I believe I did Tuesday. And then I went out Sunday. I think I did Tuesday. I think I did another day. And then I came in Sunday and I did another thing Sunday. We just don't have to stick to just one day. We can just push and move. I mean, don't beat people over the head with it, but we want everybody to know, hey, I want you to keep uplifted because there's gonna be a night. I can't reach you, but I want you to know I'm always thinking about you. I want you to know if I always tell people if you need an ear, hey Mike, I need to talk, but I don't want you to answer. Okay, call. You call. I told a person, a good friend of mine, I said, just call me. I don't want you to answer when I'm saying what I'm saying. I said, okay. And he called and he tore into whoever he was mad at, he tore into them. And he said, and after he finished, I said, you finished now? He says, yes. And I says, he says, anything you want to say? I said, I'll talk to you tomorrow. And then when I met him, we had another discussion. I did it with another person, another young lady. She called and she's just tearing into me. She's tearing. And I thought she was actually I thought she was talking to me for a moment. And I'm listening, and she says, "Okay, I'm done." I said, "Okay, I'll talk to you tomorrow." And when we talked, she felt better. She said, "I think that's all I needed to do. I just needed to vent, but I didn't want nobody to answer." Ah, okay. Thank you, Apostle Young. Just text me first the information whom you are. Thank you, Apostle Young. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's all. Just text, like Pastor Young said, just text me. Just there's his number. Just text me first and inform who you are. So text him first. Let him know who you are. Then you can go ahead and say, yeah, it's so forth. Don't call him up and say, hey, let go. Read out. Hey, Pastor Man, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. I have a couple of people who reach out and talk to me, and okay, yeah, they have some issues, and like we have a good time together. But let us do that. Let us also those in need and trust to trust in his provisions and redemptions. Let us be a source of strength and support for one another. Give me 1 second, please. Yes, so let us be a strength and a support to one another, regardless. You wake up in the morning. Hey, good morning, yo. How you doing, Miss Betty? I reached out to Mama Betty, Mama Charlene, Miss Daisy. Yes, Miss Daisy. Some of y'all send messages in the morning. I have a good friend of mine. We grew up, a childhood friend, Todd, Todd Mans. He Todd, me and him grew up together, and he always sending me good morning, blessings and various things. So I send him back. A good friend, another good childhood friend of mine, Clarence. He's always comes on here every now and then and gives me the support, and I reach out to him, and he, always asks me to pray for his brother, and I always keep praying for his brother because family in our neighborhood that we lived in New York City, St. Nicholas Projects, a lot of people are passing, and there are people I don't even know who they are. Some of them I don't know who they are, but I've always reached out, and there's a person there that I always reach out to, and how's everybody over there? How's the neighborhood? So we have to give that support to each other. We have to give that source of strength, showing unwavering loyalty and love in all circumstances, whatever the circumstances is. People, we got to show people, we have people who are losing family members left and right. We got to show support. We got to show the love. Hey, hey, I'm not able to do too much, but whatever I can do, I'm going to try to do. We got to, you know what you can do, and you do what the best that you can do, because you know you on the other end, trying to support somebody, you know your circumstances, you know what you're able to do, and you do it. But when you do it out of love, out of kindness, from the heart. You understand? Just as Ruth and Naomi found blessings and favor through their faithfulness, may we too experience abundance of God's love, grace, as we walk in loyalty and love with those around us. So as we all walk in this walk of love with God, and our love and our steadfast love with each other, and our abundant love that we have for each other, may it be graceful for each of us. Um, as we, what did I just do? Oh, so as I'm gonna say, kind of push things back here. So part two was with Naomi and Ruth. So we were in the book of Ruth. Our next one, next Monday, same time, 8:30. We're gonna jump into the book of Esther. We're gonna jump into the book of Esther, and that'll be that'll be part 3 in the book of Esther. Esther will be part. Hold on, I'm just looking at something right now. Yes, that'll be part 3 at the book of Esther. The book of Esther will be part 3. Um, we're going to be in two scriptures in Esther. We're going to be in chapter 4. Hold on, I think I got something wrong here. I'm really thinking I've got something wrong here. We got chapter 4, verse 13 through 16, and Esther, chapter 4, verse 13 and 16. I may have to correct another chapter because I'm looking at something. I think I miswrote something wrong, and I will have to double check that. So what I'm going to do is when I post it, I'm going to post it on Facebook for you during the week. So we will be up to par. So we'll be in the book of Esther, and that'll be chapter 4, verse 13 and 16. There's going to be about two or three other chapters that we'll be reading, but I would suggest to read, like I said, the entire chapter, so you will be up to speed on what we'll be talking about, and you can follow along. And once again, I will always be reading from the New American Standard, Bible. And as I said, I always have a great time with each and everybody that comes on here. Everybody that comes on here, I have a great and loving time with y'all. I enjoy your time. I enjoy your support, and I thank you for supporting me through all this. I know it sometimes it's troubling getting away from your family. Oh, okay. Let me see. We're going to be in Esther. We're going to be in chapter 4. I'm sorry, chapter 4, verse 8. And then we're going to also go to chapter 4, verse 13 and 17. So those will be the two in the book of Esther that we'll be doing in the book of Esther. But I'm going to not, like I said, I'm not going to keep you. It's 10 o'clock. And I'm going to say, may each of y'all have a blessed evening. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Apostle, y'all. May each and all of y'all have a blessed evening. Y'all have a blessed night. It's 10:04. So y'all all have a blessed night. Have a blessed evening. May God bless y'all. Take care. Thank you.